I remember every second of that day. The way the sun hit the white roses, the soft music floating through the air, the whispers that followed me down the aisle. Everyone said I was glowing, but deep down, I felt like I was standing in someone else's dream. When Ethan looked at me, I smiled. But part of me wondered if he saw me at all, or if he still saw her. My sister, Emily. Emily had always been the beautiful one, confident, wild, the girl everyone noticed before they noticed me. When she left for New York 3 years ago, Ethan stayed behind. We started talking more, then dating, then somehow it turned into love. At least that's what I told myself. He proposed on a rainy afternoon with trembling hands and a soft voice. I cried, not because I was surprised, but because something about it felt off. My mom hugged me so tight that day. "You deserve to be happy, Lily," she said. Don't look back, but I did look back. And when I did, I saw Emily's name still glowing on Ethan's old phone screen. In a message he never deleted. It said, "I miss you, but I'm not ready." That night I told myself it didn't matter. People have pasts. Love can start in strange ways. I wanted to believe that I was his future, not her shadow. As I walked down the aisle, I told myself a lie that I was willing to live with. He loves me. That's all that matters. But even as I said "I do," I saw the way his eyes flickered, as if searching the crowd for a face that wasn't mine, and that was the moment I knew. My wedding wasn't really mine. The ocean was beautiful that morning, blue, endless, calm. Everything our marriage wasn't. Ethan held my hand as we walked along the beach, but it felt like he was somewhere else. His smile was polite, his kisses were careful, and every "I love you" sounded like an apology. We were supposed to be in paradise, but paradise doesn't feel this lonely. On our third night, I woke up and found him sitting on the balcony, staring at his phone. The glow from the screen hit his face like moonlight. He didn't notice me standing there. He typed slowly, deleted something, then started again. My heart pounded. I wanted to ask who he was texting, but the truth was already whispering in my head. Emily. I turned away before he could see me. My throat burned. I went back to bed, pretending to sleep as he slipped beside me later, smelling like salt and silence. The next morning, he was extra kind. Breakfast in bed, soft kisses, too many compliments. That's how guilt behaves. It overcompensates. I played along, laughed when he laughed, held his hand when tourists looked. But inside, something began to change. A voice I had ignored for years finally spoke up. You deserve someone who looks at you like you're the only one in the room. That afternoon, I saw him take a photo of me by the water. For a moment, I thought it was sweet, until I noticed his reflection in the phone screen. His eyes weren't on me. They were distant, searching. When I asked him to send me the picture later, he said his phone had died. But I saw it glowing in his pocket. That night, I cried quietly in the shower so he wouldn't hear me. I didn't want pity. I wanted truth, and maybe, deep down, I already knew it. My honeymoon wasn't about beginnings. It was about endings. Slow, silent endings that looked like love from far away. A week after the honeymoon, life went back to normal, or at least what looked like normal. We unpacked. We smiled at neighbors. We said, "We're happy," but I could feel something heavy in every room. Ethan worked late most nights. He said it was just projects, but I'd seen that excuse before. One night, while cleaning up after dinner, I noticed his phone on the counter. The screen lit up. Just for a second. It was enough. The message preview said, "I dreamt about you again." No name. But I didn't need one. I knew that voice. I'd grown up with it, Emily. I froze. The air in the kitchen felt thinner, sharper. Every sound, the ticking clock, the dripping faucet, became unbearable. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking. I told myself not to look. But curiosity is cruel when it's fueled by pain. The chat was filled with words that didn't belong to a married man. Old jokes, inside memories, a photo of the three of us at our parents' house, before everything changed, and then the line that broke me. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd waited. Waited. For her, not me, my chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. It was like drowning in air. He walked in then, casual, smiling, carrying his laptop. When he saw me holding the phone, his face drained of color. "Lily, it's not what you think," he whispered. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just placed the phone on the table and said quietly, "Then tell me what it is." He couldn't. He just stood there, staring at the floor like the truth lived there. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I wanted to punish him, but because I needed space from the ghost of my sister that lived in our bed. As I stared at the ceiling, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just betrayal. It was competition, and I'd been losing a race I never signed up for. I hadn't seen Emily in over a year. She still looked perfect. Same soft hair, same confident walk, like nothing in life could ever touch her. When she opened the door, her eyes widened. "Lily, what are you doing here?" Her voice was sweet, surprised, maybe too surprised. "I needed to talk," I said. She stepped aside. Her apartment smelled like coffee and vanilla, familiar, safe, dangerous. We sat down. She crossed her legs and smiled, that same smile that always got her out of trouble. For a moment, I almost forgot why I came. Then I remembered the message. "Are you still talking to Ethan?" The words came out sharper than I meant. Her smile faded, just a little. "I mean, we text sometimes. He's family now, isn't he? Family." The word stung. I looked at her. Really looked. There was guilt behind her eyes, small but alive. "Emily," I whispered. "He's my husband." She sighed, leaning back. "It's not what you think," those words again. The same lie, spoken in a different voice. "Then what is it?" I asked. "Because I've read what you write to him. And it doesn't sound like family." Her face turned pale. For a long time she said nothing. Then she whispered, "I never meant for any of this to happen." I laughed. A cold, broken laugh I didn't recognize. "You mean you never meant to get caught?" She looked down, ashamed. "I thought I was over him," she said. "But when you two got engaged..." I panicked. I don't know why I stood up, because sitting made it harder to breathe. "You don't get to say you don't know why," I said. "You always knew. You wanted to be the center of everything, even my marriage." Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time I saw fear in them, not for losing him, but for losing me. "Lily, please." I shook my head. "No, you don't get to call me that right now." Silence. Heavy, final. I walked to the door, my chest burning. Before I left, I turned and said quietly, "You can have him if you want. But remember, some people you steal will never truly be yours." Her lips trembled. And in that moment, I realized she didn't win. Not really, because love built on guilt always collapses. He showed up at my mother's house 2 days later. No call, no warning. Just a knock I almost didn't answer. When I opened the door, he looked exhausted, unshaven, eyes red. Like someone who finally met the consequences of his own choices. "Lily, please," he said. "We need to talk." I wanted to slam the door. But instead I stepped aside, because even anger has manners. He stood in the living room, holding his phone like a confession. "I ended it," he said softly. "With Emily." I didn't speak. I just crossed my arms and waited. "She means nothing to me now," he continued. "But she did," I whispered. He froze. That silence. It said more than his words ever could. He sat down on the couch, elbows on his knees, face in his hands. "I was stupid," he said. "She was a fantasy. Your reality. You're the one I love." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it hurt. Reality, that's what I'd become. Something stable, predictable, convenient. "Do you even know what love is, Ethan?" I asked. He looked up, eyes glistening. "Yes," he said. "It's fighting for someone even when you've messed up." "Then fight," I said. "But don't fight for forgiveness. Fight for honesty." He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't hold on either. That in-between moment where you realize love isn't gone, but it's no longer safe. "I can't promise I'll ever trust you again," I said. He nodded. "I'll wait," he whispered. "As long as it takes." When he left, I stood by the window, watching him walk away. The sky was gray, the air heavy. Somehow, it fit. My mom walked in quietly. "You okay, honey?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, Mom, but I will be." And for the first time in weeks, I believed myself, because pain can break you, but it can also wake you up. The first morning without him felt strange. The house was quiet, too quiet. No coffee brewing, no footsteps in the hallway, just silence and sunlight. For a while, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my wedding ring. It looked heavy now, like a promise that no longer belonged to me. I didn't cry. Maybe I was out of tears. Maybe I was just tired of being the only one who did. I went for a walk that day, alone, no makeup, hair tied up. The air felt different, lighter, almost forgiving. I passed the small bookstore near the corner, the same one Ethan used to rush by without noticing. But that day, I walked in. The smell of paper and dust wrapped around me like comfort. The owner smiled, an older woman with kind eyes. "First time here?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah, I guess I've been too busy being someone's wife," she chuckled softly. "Well, welcome back to being you." That line hit harder than it should have. I bought a book, something about finding peace after loss. I didn't read it right away, but just holding it made me feel in control again. That night I cooked dinner for one, lit a candle, played music, not our music, but mine. And when I sat down, I whispered something I hadn't said in months. "I'm proud of you." Not because I was healed, but because I was finally trying. The next morning, I woke up to a message from Ethan. Just 3 words. "I still love you." I stared at it for a long time. My hands didn't shake this time. My heart didn't race. I just smiled sadly and whispered, "I know, but I love me now too." Then I put my phone face down and let the morning light fill the room for the first time in forever. I could breathe. It had been 3 months. 3 long, quiet months since I'd seen him. I had learned to love silence again. To drink coffee without checking my phone. To fall asleep without waiting for footsteps in the hall. I was doing okay. Maybe even better than okay, until that night. The knock came just after 9. Soft, hesitant, familiar. I froze halfway to the door. My heart knew before my mind did, Ethan. When I opened it, he looked different. Tired, thinner, but there was something else. Regret. The kind that doesn't fade. "Hey," he said quietly, "can I come in?" For a moment I wanted to say no, but the part of me that still remembered our laughter moved aside. He stepped in, looked around the living room, the books on the table, the single plate on the counter, the new calm in the air. "You've changed," he said. "I had to," I replied. He nodded slowly. Then reached into his pocket and handed me something small, a folded piece of paper. It was a letter, written in his messy handwriting. "I've started therapy," it said. "I'm learning how to stop running from what I ruin. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know I'm trying." I didn't cry. Not this time. I just stared at the words, tracing each one like a scar. "Why now?" I asked. "Because you deserved a man who fought for you," he said. "And I wasn't him." "Not then." His voice broke on the last word. And something inside me softened, not out of love, but out of understanding. We talked for hours, about nothing and everything. About the silence between us, the hurt, the things we never said. When he left, he didn't ask for another chance. He just said, "Thank you for opening the door." And somehow, that felt like closure. That night, as I lay in bed, I realized something. Healing doesn't always mean forgetting. Sometimes it just means remembering without the pain. And for the first time, I didn't dream of him leaving. I dreamt of myself staying with me. It happened on a Sunday, the kind of morning that smells like rain and second chances. I was in the bookstore again, the same one from before. A place that had become my quiet escape. I was reaching for a book on the top shelf when someone spoke behind me. "Here, let me." A hand reached past mine, steady and sure. When I turned, I saw a man, tall, kind eyes, wearing a faded denim jacket. He smiled, handing me the book. "You looked like you were losing that battle." I laughed softly. It was the first real laugh I'd had in months. "Thanks," I said. "I guess I'm still learning to ask for help." He tilted his head. "Nothing wrong with that." His name was Noah. He worked nearby, came in on weekends just to read and disappear for a while. We talked about books, coffee, and the strange comfort of starting over. It felt easy. No pretending, no ghosts. Before leaving, he said, "I hope I see you again, Lily." My heart stopped for a second. I never told him my name. How did you— I started, he smiled. "You left your card at the counter last week," I laughed, shaking my head. "Well, guess it's fate then," he winked. "Or maybe just good timing." That night, I thought about him, the warmth in his voice, the quiet confidence in his eyes. But more than that, I thought about how it felt to want to think about someone again. It wasn't love. Not yet, but it was something softer, something alive. I went to bed smiling. Not because someone saw me, but because I was finally ready to be seen. It was a Friday evening. The bookstore was quiet, warm, and smelled like coffee and rain. Noah had asked me to meet him there after work. We'd been seeing each other for a few weeks. Slow, careful, easy. He made me laugh. He listened. He saw me. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking backward. Until the door opened. I didn't have to turn around to know who it was. Ethan. He froze when he saw me sitting with Noah. 2 coffees. 2 smiles. 1 history. The air changed. Heavy, charged, unspoken. "Lily?" he said, almost a whisper. Noah stood up politely. "You must be Ethan," he said. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Yeah, and you are?" "Noah," he said calmly. "A friend." Ethan's jaw tightened. "A friend," he repeated, like the word hurt his tongue. I stood up before the silence could cut deeper. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" He looked lost, confused, like a man who'd finally realized he couldn't fix what he broke. "I just wanted to see you," he said softly. "One last time." Noah stepped back, respectful. "I'll give you 2 a moment," he said, and walked toward the shelves. Ethan turned to me, eyes full of something between sorrow and surrender. "I see it now," he said. "You're happy. I'm learning," I replied. He nodded slowly. "I thought I was your forever," he said. I smiled sadly. "You were my lesson." He swallowed hard, tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Lily." "I know," I said. And for the first time, I meant it. He looked at Noah across the room, quiet, kind, patient. Then back at me. "You deserve peace," he whispered, and with that, he left. No fight, no begging, just closure, the kind that feels like exhaling after years of holding your breath. When Noah came back, he didn't ask what happened. He just took my hand. And in that simple gesture, I realized something powerful. Healing isn't about choosing between the past and the future. It's about choosing yourself. It's been a year since the wedding that wasn't really mine. A year since the storm, the silence, the goodbye, and somehow I'm still here, still breathing, still standing. People ask if I miss him. Sometimes I do, but not the way they think. I miss the version of me who believed love could fix everything. The girl who said I'm fine even when she was breaking. The woman who kept forgiving to feel wanted. But that girl is gone, and I don't mourn her. I thank her, because she walked through hell so I could finally find home. Inside myself, Noah's still in my life. We take things slow. He never tries to fill the spaces Ethan left. He just sits beside them until they don't hurt anymore. One night, he asked me, "Do you ever wish things had gone differently?" I thought about it, about all the pain, the lies, the tears on my mother's couch, and I said no, because if they had, I might never have learned what love really means. He smiled, pulled me close and whispered, "And what does it mean?" I smiled back. "It means peace." When I got home that night, I found my old wedding photo, the one I couldn't look at for months. I didn't cry this time. I just smiled, because the woman in that picture had no idea what she was about to survive. And the woman holding it finally did. I placed it back in the drawer, not to forget, but to remember how far I'd come. Some stories don't end with happily ever after. They end with strength, with stillness, with freedom. And maybe that's the kind of love I was meant to find all along.